Okay.
Yeah,
So I think we can start.
yeah, I think we can start. So, first of all, a very hello and warm welcome to everyone who's present in the workshop. Thank you for joining us and being a part of the workshop. So, let me introduce you with the speakers. So, myself, Ankur, the co-founder of the SemiKolan community, and with me, I have who's also the co-founder and will be hosting the session for today. And with us, we have our guest speaker, it's Mr. Jatin Salve. He has participated in GSOC in the previous year as a participant, and right now he is also mentoring this year in GSOC under the Joomla organization. So let us all welcome Mr. Jatin Salve, and let us all begin the session. So, also, everyone, let us know your thoughts for the session in the comment section. And yeah, so first of all, I would like Jatin to let us know to give us some insights about GSOC and what exactly the program is, how he get into it, and everything that he has for us to like let us know.
Yeah,
So yeah,
so
over to you, Jatin.
thank you, Ankur, for your introduction. So my name is Jatin. I'm currently a Google Summer Code mentor for the Joomla organization, and I've done open source solution plan with Joomla only in 2021. Also, I'm MyTech's Global Research Scholar, and I'll be working with the University of École Polytechnique de Montréal in this summer for my research and all. So, this was my brief introduction. So, let's move ahead and let's talk about something about Google Summer Code. So, just let me share my screen first. I hope my screen is visible, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So let's talk about Google Summer of Code, what it is, why you should do this, and what are some benefits of it. So like people do something because they get benefited from it. So why you should do Google Summer of Code? So like basically Google Summer of Code is a program from the Google itself because Google sponsor it. It gives fund to the organizations to run this program annually. Annually means it happens every year, and open source organization takes place in this program and selects some students who wanna contribute to their organizations and they select some students for this program, and these students called as GSOC students usually. So basically, this is a open source program. So let's talk about what is exactly open source before moving ahead and talking about the Google Summer Code. So open source is a way of the collaborating of the professional developers for their websites and all. Basically, what it is a decentralized peer production and license way of working with the community, and people actually do open source for learning and to make the world better with their skills and their contributions. Open source, if I give us easy example, of the open source, it is just a project on there is no it is a decentralized project with anyone with relevant skill can contribute to and can work on that project, and if the maintainers of that project agrees to accept the pull request of that people, they so they agrees to accept the pull request, they can work on they can have the contribution in that project also. So why people choose open source is because of transparency, and also they learn to like there is a collaboration in the developers. So you can work on the any topic and on any issues mention on that mention on that repo of the project. And it is about the community, so you get to learn a lot of things while working in the community. Because the if you talk about the open source organizations, people are very experienced. Some of them have more than 10 to 15 years of experience. So there are a lot of things you can learn by collaborating in this kind of projects in the open source. You will not only get to learn about the technical but as well as the non-technical skills also. The professionalism you get to learn with these mentors of these projects is much more than it is kind of great experience if you get selected into the Google Summer of Code. So these are some key points of what open source is. And let's talk about some of the famous open source organizations. So here are some example of the famous open source organizations. There is GNU, TensorFlow, Mozilla, LibreOffice, Linux, and Joomla. So these are some big open source organization that takes part in every year's Google Summer of Code. And if you wanna start your career, and if you wanna learn some new things, and if you have some relevant skill about this organization, you can take part in these organizations, and you'll get to learn a lot from these organizations. Because these are some world's top organizations, and the contributors and the maintainers who are working in these organizations are pretty experienced and top people who help people to get into the open source. Because if you talk about Google Summer of Code is an introduction to the open source. So if you don't have any relevant, or I'll say any good or strong open source experience also, you can contribute into the Google Summer of Code, because that's the aim of the Google Summer of Code basically. So let's move ahead and let's understand about what is Google Summer of Code exactly, and why there is so much craze in the people about the Google Summer of Code. And so let's learn what is like why Google Summer of Code. So the first benefit of the Google Summer of Code is introduction to the community. Like you'll yeah so introduction to the communities. So you'll work with the communities. uh, when you will work in the GSOC programs, you will get to learn about their work culture, the the tech stack that they are using, and about how the things are done on the professional level. You will get to learn. You'll like definitely there will be a lot of growth in your technical as well as soft skills. So that's one benefit of Google Summer of Code. The another good benefit of the Google Summer of Code is the stipend that you will get. Because the stipend that Google provides in this program is varies from project to project. So there are two kind of project. The first project is intermediate or medium project, and the second project is hard project. Intermediate project is about 1.5 months, and the hard project is about 3 months. So you get 1.5 and 3 months to complete the respective projects. So for the intermediate project, the stipend is around 1.5 thousand US dollars, and for the hard project, the stipend is about 3,000 US dollars for the 3 months. So stipend is good, but then I'll say if you are doing only for the stipend, don't do it. Because your main motive should be to learn something new and to gain experience. Because that will only gonna help you in the future and for your professional work in the future. And so next point is, uh, as I mentioned already, you will get one of the best professional experience. Because you will commit in your project daily. You will test your commits, pull requests, etc. So you'll do what all the professional they have doing since so many years. So you'll get to know more about how this open source communities work, and from the inside. So it is kind of one of the best professional experience that you can get in your college life. And another one good example, one good benefit of the Google Server code is the connections, of course, because you'll get to know so many people from the organizations who have the same interest as you in the tech stacks. So you'll contribute with them. You'll communicate with them for doubt solving, etc. And that connections will definitely gonna help you in your future and your future uh, on your future professional work experience, like, and all that sort of things. So let's talk about the timeline. What is exactly the timeline of the Google Summer Code? So basically, it starts from the mid March where organization get announced, and after the from the mid March to the mid April, there is student application period. So people from the various places, like from 100 up above, from the top, from the over 100 countries, students apply for this program. And so they first join their every organization's uh, communication channel. So they talk with the mentors, get to know about the organizations by exploring their projects. So this is a very important period to learn about your respective organization. So the next period is mid-April to mid-May. So you have to submit a proposal, and in some of the organizations they may ask you about a task, or they just need your proposal. It varies upon organizations to organizations, but you successfully write a good proposal and do the task as suggested. So you definitely can crack the Google Summer code. And after that, the selected students have the community bonding period from mid-May to June. So and that there are usually two evaluations. Then the coding period actually began, and in that there are two evaluation. And in order to successfully complete the Google Server code, you need to clear the both the evaluations. And this evaluation criteria is different from for organizations to organizations and project to project. So you have to constantly stay in touch with the mentors of the organizations and the mentors of the particular project. So they only decides the evaluation criteria, and if you pass this evaluation, so after that you will successfully complete the Google Summer code. And in the end of the August, you'll get your results. And for each evaluation you will get the stipend, 40 or 60%, etc., and vice versa. Yeah, so let's talk about how can you apply. Okay, so that is the most important thing, because if you do this correctly, your chances of getting selected will increase. So first choose desired organizations. I'll say preferably two or three in the December or Jan. But if you are doing right now, it is not late, because still there are still you can make into it, because this is ideal application process. But um, you can start before application period starts, so it is not late yet. So if you are watching this right now, so you definitely can apply in any of the organizations. But definitely the application period is starting from the 7th or 6th or 7th April. So do this before the application period gets started. So the next step is after choosing the organization. So before going into that, so how you will choose the organization. So let's say if I know Python or JavaScript, so there is Google Server Code official website name as Server Code with Google.com. Go there. There will be a search box, and there will be a list of the organizations. So just type in the search box about what you know, what the technical skills you have, Like if example, I know the web domain, and if I search the web, it will show me all the organizations that uses the web. And another example is if I know the Python, it will show all the organizations that uses the Python, like Django organization. And then go to the that organization's page, see all the ideas listed over there, and choose which idea you want to contribute, and that seems very interesting to you. And then join the communication channel of that respective organizations, because after that only you will able to communicate with your mentors who are handling all the projects. So join that public communication channel. Become After joining this, so be familiar with the work file structures and the front end and all the basic things of the organization's main project, or the project that you are working on. So try to understand the basic APIs and the basic things that they work on in the first 1 or 2 week. And after that, if you have uh, good open source experience before, that is always a good. But if you don't have, what you can do is go to the respective organization's issue page, and then you can go to the issue, that you can search the issues by good first issues. So what are exactly good first issues? First issues are the issues which are made for the, or which have, like, you can, if you are beginner, totally beginner, and if you want to contribute to that organizations, you can solve these good first issues. These are basically for the beginners. So these are not that hard compared to the other issues. So you can start working on those first issues. And the one mistake that I see from lots of the beginner is, they and lots of lots of famous people also tell on their YouTube, etc., that go on the issue section and type that, spam that issue section with the line like, I wanna work on this issue. Please help me. See, in this way, nobody is gonna help you. Or the other thing is, if they know how to solve this issue, or if they have the time to solve the issue, that issue has already been solved. So don't do such kind of silly things that will lower your chances. Make a draft PR, submit some ideas to solve that issue, and then definitely someone from the organization definitely gonna help you. But if you put something like, I wanna solve this, please someone help, so that never works. Okay. So the next thing is, focus on the code. Like I'll say, don't focus on the code, but on the discussion, because coding is all about conceptions. Coding is not just about the writing the code, but mentors from the organizations wants to what are your understanding, what is your logic building, basically, because they can help you in the coding is not a big deal in such kind of organizations, because they are doing since lots of years, they have good experience. But they want they want future contributors who can take over their places. So they want you to think in that way. So make sure you have good problem solving skills, and if not, then work on these skills and try to make them strong, because problem solving skills are the uh, is important in this kind of uh, programs, because everyone will see your way of solving and not the coding syntax, because this is kind of thing that you can google it and copy it. But the way of your thinking is more important in solving such kind of issues. And another thing is, never brag about your knowledge or something, because people usually don't like that, and they will definitely gonna judge you if you do something. they can see through you it, and that will definitely gonna make a bad impression on the mentors, because there are some mentors who will not be good, or sometimes they can be rude to you. Usually happens in the open source, but they just wanted to their project to complete. So don't brag of anything about if you have done, if you have achieved something. So just be polite and ask them politely and if you have, if you face any issues, or if you stuck at some point, so ask them politely, ask your approach basically, so what approach you have used or something. And don't expect expected answer or from them, because sometimes you will not get that. So but try to be more polite from your side, because you are a student over here and you want to learn something. And the next step is repeat all the steps until the results are get announced, and if you do all the steps, definitely you can make it. So next thing is discussing the ideas and doubts in open source environment. So I assume that most of the people watching this video will be new to the open source and want to contribute something for the respective organizations. So how will you gonna discuss the ideas or discuss the doubt that you have? Because that can that can be very difficult in sometimes. So the first way is like be polite, and be polite while asking the doubt, and let the expert speak. If Because remember, like there are so many volunteers in an open source organizations, and there is always be gonna someone who will help you if you stuck at anything. The next point is do not expect the politeness in return. As I already said, like it happened multiple times from an experienced person. He or she can act rudely, but in this situation you need to tackle it very carefully, because they get lots of doubts every day, and they can't solve 200 and 300 dollars per day. And so like if they got some like any dumped out, they will definitely gonna get frustrated. So but as I said, be polite, and everything gets work, because that's the way of working in open source organization. And be sure that you thank that person who solves your doubt after because they spend their some amount of their personal time to solve your doubts. Because usually open source is not paid, because people don't get paid in open source mostly. They do Some of the people do open just for fun, and so they are helping you. This means they are use their time for you, so be thankful for them after your doubt is solved. And one of the main point is help others if possible. Like if you know any skill, or if you have faced any issues and someone asks same issue, so help them, because this is all about the open source. The open source is not about competition, but more about the collaboration. So asking for helps, like always ask for help when you are stuck or something, but there are some caveats. Okay, so let's talk about this more, like how to ask intelligent questions in open source. I'll be more stressing on the word intelligence over here, because that will make you stand apart from the other applicants. Okay, there is way of asking the questions in the open source, and you have to ask intelligent questions uh, that will make sure that that will make an perfect impression on the mentors, that this he or she knows something and he can work on the project, and definitely that will make you stand out from the others. So ask questions only when it can't be solved, because there are some issues that can be googled very easily, but still people ask them, and it it is not that good in the open source, because if the things that are googleable, uh, don't expect the answer for such issues, because open source is like self service, and people are not gonna google for you, so that you have to do for yourself. So, like the second point is, while many people may not react negatively when you ask doubts that are easily Googleable, it is always nice to show resourcefulness and solve issues on your own. Then mention the details about the unsuccessful attempts for the problem, solving the problem. Mention your expected solution and the intuition behind your thinking. People tend to help those who wish to help themselves, and mention all the technical details, and after that also mention all the technical details for the testing, and then testing environment and other things like your OS version, your package version, because that will help the mentor or the people who is helping you to solve your issue faster. Yeah, so that was all about the application and all. So are there any prerequisite of the Google Symbol code? So basic prerequisite are here. Like if you learn this, and if you have this skill, you can definitely can get selected in Google Super Code, or definitely can apply for Google Super Code. Like first, you need to understand the basic of the any field. Like what this mean exactly is, if you wanna contribute in the open source org who uses cloud or DevOps. So just learn some basics about cloud or DevOps, and then master that basically only required, and then search for some projects which uses that technology. And if you have that basic skill, then definitely you can learn the all other things. Like I always say, if the project required skill matches your skill with 30 to 40%, you can definitely go for that project. You can ask the doubts on the communication platform. Yeah, and be open and ready to learn new skills in short period of time. About the programming language, many students ask how much programming language should I know. Like I think one programming language is must, but if you know two or three, it is always good, because many organizations work on, they have their primary programming language like different. So if you know one or two, it is always good. One is must, but more than that is always suggested. So many people have that the what sh- or what should be their operating system or the kernel. Like most people uses Windows, or most people uses Linux, not sorry, so not Windows, sorry. But I think that if you're working on an issue, and like any operating system can be, like you can solve this in any operating system, but in open source mostly people work on the Linux. So if you know basics of the Linux, uh, then it is always good. Yeah, so these are some prerequisite. I'll say what preparation needs to be done in order to get selected. Okay, the first point is master the googling skill. Like this is the important, because there are, if you are new to the any open source organizations, there can be a lots of doubts that you face while beginning with that open source organization. So this googling skills matters a lot. And after that, let the Linux be your daily driver. As I said, the operating system of the kernel doesn't matter that much, but some organization prefers Linux as over the Windows. So if you have a good understanding of Linux, then it is always good. Then, as I mentioned already, find your forte in a language or a domain. And a very important thing is understand how Git works, because this is a must skill in the open source, because because without Git and the GitHub, you can't contribute in the open source. So that was it about some tips about the application. So let's talk about the changes in Google Summer of Code. What are the changes in Google Summer of Code 2022? So this year's GSOC is open to everyone. First, it was only for the college students, but now you should only have to be over 18 so in order to take part in Google Summer Code. Second point is project side. This I mentioned already. And the third is increased flexibility of timing of the project. Yeah, that was all about the Google Summer of Code. So let me show you what was my work. So like my name is Jatin, as I already said, and I work for Joomla open source organization. You can read about the organization on their official website, and this was my project. My project name was Guided Tour, and this was some tech stack that I used in my project, and like PHP, MySQL, Java, J4, MVC development, just like Shepherd and Popper.js. And what I learned during the internship, my contribution was to code, like through the coding style might improve, and also writing safe system software and working with MVC based component. Like I learned about the importance of the coding styles. Yeah, so that was it. And if you have any questions, you can ask.
Yep. So uh, I guess we have learned a lot here. Definitely some very nice insights. Many new things that even we have explored for the first time, like how to go for good first issues. I think there's also tags such as beginner, and some tags like that that can help people, right?
Yeah, like in the open source, issues are divided on many tiers. Like there are some beginner friendly issues. You can find this on every project's issue section, and you can easily solve them. Yeah.
So also some folks have some doubts that I've listed during the registration form. So I'm gonna ask the doubts one by one so that you can answer them. So yeah, so beginning with the first thing is, how do we choose an organization? Like there are under GSOC there are variety of organization. There are lots of organizations, and
Yeah, sure.
some people
So
don't like they just have one or two tech stacks and something like that. So yeah.
For choosing our organizations, first understand what are your interests and what on which organizations you can work. So, if you know something about web or if you know something about Android, you can filter those organizations on your skills or the domain, and for like after that you can choose any of the organizations, because every organization you'll get to learn a lot from that organization. And definitely if your basics are good and if you know something, and then you can work on any organizations. Like organization doesn't matter that much, I guess.
Yeah. And also, I think you have already answered this, but again, since a lot of people have asked this, like, is now the right time that you can get started for your preparation under GSOC and making a proposal and everything? Because it's the ending of March already, and there's not a lot of time remaining. So, is now a good time to make a contribution to start your GSOC works?
Yeah, like of course, because it is never delayed. Because the more early we will start, there are more chances. But there is still time. You can still apply for the Google Summer Code and get selected. I'll say if you are watching this video right now, then you have chances. You just have to work on that proposal thing, and make sure your proposal is good, and you have good communication with your mentors. And yeah, definitely you can crack GSOC if you start.
Great. So let me move on to some next questions. So yeah, one thing about proposals, like how do you approach writing a proposal for an organization? Let's say you worked in Joomla. So how do you approach creating that proposal? What is the
Uh,
roadmap for
the
that?
the pro tip that I'll give over here is refer to the past proposal that got selected into that open source organizations. You can always ask the previous year's Google Server Code students and you can ask them for their proposals. The praise the this basic structure for the this proposal will be the first introduce about yourself, then about your past experiences, etc. Mention the project that you are working on. Then there will be there should be a section of the your implementation part, how you are gonna implement that project. So divide that section into many parts, like the task, I'll say task 1, task 2, task 3, and give a I'll say give a timeline to each task. So in what time you will do what things exactly. So this and after that there should be a timeline after that you will be doing these things in this particular amount of time, and that's enough. That's enough for a good proposal. Only the implementation part is only the implementation part is required, because that takes lots of time. Because if you have if you can implement that project, and if you mention the implementation of the project, that only things matters in the proposal. That how good are you implementing are you implementing the project. So make sure that you focus on this thing. Harsh, you are no problem.
Sorry. Okay, am I audible now?
Yes.
Yeah, seems Ankur having some issues. So Akshar Dongre has asked, what is the most demanding organization nowadays?
There are lots of organizations. There are, I'll say, GNU, then Joomla also, then Mozilla. Then there are so many organizations in CNCF, like Kubernetes, etc. These are some umbrella orgs. Then TensorFlow. You can, but the the more famous organization is the competition in that
Yeah.
organization is always high. So these are some example of the like most famous organizations also.
Yeah, and Deepak Gupta has asked, did you have to learn new language during the program?
uh, it is not compulsory, but if the project asks a new language, like for my case, when I was working for my project, I only knew JavaScript, and like JavaScript, C++, Python, etc. And
Yeah.
but the demand of the project was was PHP. So I have to learn PHP. I'll say if you know one programming language, you can switch to any other programming language in 1 or 2 weeks. So just try to learn one programming language in depth, and then programming other programming language will not be that much hard to learn.
I have one my personal question, like how to get familiar with that huge code base. Because last year I also tried for Joomla, but that huge code base is like a fully not so readable for me. So how to get familiarized with that huge code base?
Yeah, like you don't have to get familiarized with the huge code base. you just need to know some part of the code base, because if you are working in front end, so you just need to know what exactly you are working on. Let me give you an example. The if I'm working on an MVC component, so I just need to know the specific folders in that MVC component. You don't need to know all the things in the organizations, because many people don't know, or like many people who are contributing to that organization since so many years, they also don't know all the stuffs. And the like there is a pretty good example of the like founder of the Linux, who developed the Linux. He said in an interview that like I only developed the Linux, but at the present time I only know about 2% of the entire code. So uh, like this is the example, like he knows only 2% of the code, because many people, like if you talk about the big open source organizations, many people are working simultaneously, they add new features to it, so you can't keep a track of all these features and all these functions. So just try to focus on one part at a time, and try to learn that part. But because like if you are working on the on any part in the back end, uh, the authentication, etc. So try to learn about that part, how it is using in that organization, and how you can work on that issue or project, etc. So that much is enough, I guess. You don't have to learn all the stuff that are mentioned on the repository.
Yeah, thank you, Jatin. We have few more questions.
Yeah.
What are the advices for you to that mistakes anyone should avoid throughout the GSOC preparation?
Sure. As I said, first, if you're planning for Google Summer Code, first join their communication channel. Each open source organization has their own communication channel. Join that. Example is Slack, Discord, Ring Central, Clip, etc. So communicate with the mentors on a regular basis, because this is the one thing that most of the people don't do, and mentors are the one who will going to select you. So if you communicate on the regular basis, there are high chances that he will notice your work, and he will going to select you. So communication is a very important thing. For example, I have one friend. He was applying for the Google Summer of Code last year. He applied to one of the top org. He knew all the concepts. He knew how to implement the project. He was very he knew all these things from top to bottom, but still he didn't get selected because his communication was weak with the mentors. So though you are good, if you are good and you know all the skills, all the relevant skill, and know how to implement the project, but if your communication is not good with any of the organization, with the mentors, they will not gonna select you, because communication is important, and how are you expressing your thoughts is important as well. So that is one thing that I would say. Then the evaluation depends upon two things mostly. The first one is the proposal part, and the second one is tasks. Most of the organization don't give tasks; they just they just judge you on basis of your proposal, etc. Your GitHub account, GitHub profile, etc. Your past experience. So some of the organizations required, do give you a task, or some of the don't. So if you do this proposal and this task things correctly, there are high chances of you getting selected. And after that, after the successful submission of the task and the proposal, then comes the period before the result get announced. So this is the most important period. This is the period in which you have to communicate with your mentors on a regular basis, because this is the period in which they are going to select the student. So try to communicate with the mentors after the submitting the proposal, like after the submitting the proposal and after the doing the task. Try to communicate them. Try to tell them what have you done today, like all the things. What are you implementing? What are your future plans to implement this or these functions? What are you like solving? Are you solving the issues or not? Try to communicate with them on the regular basis, and that will definitely gonna take the attention of the mentor, and he or she will definitely gonna like the chances of getting selected if you are active in this period are uh, pretty high. So do these things, and like these are some important things if you wanna get selected as a good summer coach student.
Yeah. Also, one thing that I would like to ask before making a proposal, is it necessary that you have already made some contributions to the particular organization in which you are sending the proposal, or just
Uh,
any other open source contribution would work?
uh, like if you don't have open source contributions for Google Summer Code, like it they accept sometimes. But the more the open source contributions you have, the more PRs you made, the more chances will be there of you getting selected. So, and the question you asked, they just wanted they were just looking for a candidate who has worked in open source. Though, so the PR doesn't matter if you have done PR in any other open source organization or the current organizations. But you have done if you have done the PRs in the same organizations, it's always good that now the mentors know that you have worked in these organizations, and you can work like in the future also. So that is plus point over here.
Yeah, definitely. So that means I can if even if I had done some open source contribution in any other organization, let's say, so that would
Uh,
also be okay.
yes, definitely.
Yeah, but yeah, if I already done in the same organization, I'll already be interactive with the mentor as well, so that would be a plus point, I guess.
Yeah, like that's the plus point, and that increases your chances. Like if you are done the contribution in the same organizations, that is a plus point in your proposal, and yeah, that shows the mentors that you have solved this issue in the same organizations. That means you know how these things work in the project itself. So that's the plus point over here.
Yeah, got it. So, yeah, another thing, just asking some doubts. Uh, how is your experience after getting selected? How are the mentors of the Joomla organization, and how was the whole process?
uh, yeah, like mentors are very good. Mentors work very good, and they are still good. You will get to learn a lot from the mentors. Yeah, definitely
You
the
are the mentor
experience.
this time.
Yeah, like if you are in contact with the mentors on the regular basis, so there are chances that they can select you as a mentor the next year or after that also. So the overall experience was very good. The community support was good. If I was facing any issues, and if I put some other mentors replied very like the response that I was getting from the mentors was pretty fast compared to the lots of other organizations. So yeah, like some of the organizations have good mentors, I will say, and I was in one of that organizations. So experience was pretty good. You will get to learn a lot of things. As I said, I didn't know the PHP, but I learned PHP. I learned the Joomla for MVC development, and lots of other professional things also. I learned the importance of the coding style. That I learned that coding style is equally important as the coding itself. So yeah, this was some things that I learned in my journey of 2 or 3 months. So basically, it was a pretty good experience.
Great. Okay, so moving on to next doubt. There is a question. Should I participate only if I know data structures and algorithms? Like if someone is not familiar with development part, let's say, so can he get started with open source development in GSOC?
Um, like data structures and algorithms are also required in the open source because it improves your logic building skills, but you should know the at least the basics of the development for the particular organizations. The basics are only required, not the whole thing, but yeah, as I said that if you know the basics you can participate in any of the organizations. Some users web, some are in the security field, some are in the Linux. It is an operating system field. There are some programming language just also that are mentioned. If you know the basics of data structure, you can go for that. But yeah, definitely you should know the basics of the development also, and that helps you in your journey in because that are some must basic things before applying to the open source in this program.
Great. So yeah, moving on to next doubt. This I think this is the last one that I have right now. So so the thing is, many people there are like controversies also like what about placement? Do we get? Is it possible that it can also be placed in organizations like
I guess Ankur has some connection issues. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. The question was like, did GSOC help in placements? And I hope you got my question.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, so definitely, GSOC plays very important part if you are applying for placement in any company. For the top product based company, it is they usually focus on data structures and algorithm, but many companies sees your profile if you are applying for the off campus. Many people give you referrals based on your resume, and if you have Google Server of Code in your resume, definitely they will gonna consider you for their company, and they will gonna refer you. Many interviewers talk about your work in the Google Summer of Code because you have two things in your resume after the Google Summer of Code. First one is your experience, and the second one is your project. So that increases the quality of your resume by a huge amount of points. So definitely, Google Summer of Code helps you in the placements also.
Yeah.
and also
Thank you,
the
Jatin.
one thing is and also the one thing is if you are doing some work in the any of the organizations, and if you're doing some good work, you can get the remote opportunities from that organizations too. They can offer you a placement also, so that's
Yeah.
the benefit of Google Summer of Code.
Great. So thank you, Jatin. Was a great session,
Yeah,
and I think folks got a very insightful stuff to know about.
yeah,
It seems all the questions from the community has been done, and you have answered all of them. I think we can wind up the session.
yeah. Thank you for
Yeah.
inviting me
Thank you,
for this
Jatin.
session.
Thank you for giving this wonderful session.
Yeah.